Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk English. I'm so glad you're here today. I'm Alex, your host.
And I'm Emily. Thanks for tuning in. Today's episode is going to hit close to home for a lot of English learners out there.
If you're someone who's been learning English for a while, but still feel nervous or stuck when speaking, this episode is just for you. Let me ask you something and be honest. Do you believe that if you just learn all the grammar rules, you'll finally speak English like a native?
So every day you read, listen, memorize vocabulary, and try hard to master English grammar.
But then one day, you finally get a chance to speak with someone in English. And what happens? You freeze. You feel your mouth moving slower than your brain. The sentence is in your head, but the words don't come out. Sound familiar?
You're not alone. So many learners feel this way, even after years of studying.
But here's the good news. Today, we'll walk you through why this happens, and more importantly, what you can do to fix it.
We're going to talk about how speaking is a skill, not a subject, and why listening, imitation, and daily speaking practice can help you finally unlock your voice. Let's get into it.
Let me tell you something that surprises a lot of English learners. You can study English for years, know the grammar rules, memorize hundreds of words, and still struggle to speak.
It's not because you're lazy. And it's definitely not because you're bad at languages.
The real reason is this: you're building the wrong kind of knowledge. There are two types of knowledge when it comes to language. The first one is called explicit knowledge. That's what most learners focus on.
To use the knowledge, you must think about it. You must focus your attention on it.
Explicit knowledge is slow, non-automatic, and effortful. It's only useful when you're doing a task that doesn't require fast response. It's the type of knowledge that requires conscious attention.
Yeah, it's useful for writing essays, maybe passing exams.
Sadly, this type of knowledge is useless in spoken English, which requires you to respond to a question or remark quickly. Now here's what really matters. Implicit knowledge. It's automatic. It's that feeling when you just know what sounds right, so you don't have to think about grammar when speaking. This allows you to concentrate on expressing your thoughts and ideas.
The result is that you'll be able to speak English effortlessly. It will feel as if you're talking in your native language. Pretty exciting, right?
Okay, so how do you get this magic brain upgrade?
Well, that's the thing. You can't learn implicit knowledge by reading a textbook.
You can't? So all those grammar lessons I cried through? Useless?
Not totally useless. But here's the truth. Trying to become fluent through grammar is like trying to learn how to swim by reading a book. Because your brain knows the rules, but your body has never done it. And speaking is the same. You can't think your way into fluency. You have to speak your way there.
So what works instead? Experience, practice, doing. Just like how you learned your first language by hearing, seeing, and speaking.
So we're talking about listening, reading, and actually speaking English, right?
Yes. That's how you build implicit knowledge. Not by studying more, by using the language more.
So stop memorizing 50 rules a day and start living with English a little more each day.
Agree with that. In the next segment, we'll show you 3 learning methods that actually work. All these methods build implicit knowledge, the type of knowledge you need to speak English well. Alright, let's talk about the first step to speaking English more fluently. And honestly, it's one of the most powerful tools, but also the most underrated.
You're talking about listening, right?
Yeah, most people think listening is just for improving comprehension, but actually, it's one of the fastest ways to improve your speaking. And not because it teaches you more information, but because it rewires your brain to speak more naturally.
When you listen a lot, and I mean a lot, your brain starts picking up the way English sounds. You start to recognize rhythm, tone, and the natural placement of words. It's called unconscious learning. You're not studying, you're absorbing.
And over time, that knowledge becomes automatic. It gets ingrained in your brain, like muscle memory.
Exactly. You start using phrases the right way without even thinking about it. You just say them because you've heard them so many times before.
So here's the golden rule. The more you listen, the more you'll sound like a native. But don't just listen to anything. Listen to stuff you actually enjoy.
Yeah, passion helps memory. If you love food, listen to cooking shows. If you love travel, find travel vlogs. Sports, fashion, tech, whatever lights you up.
Just one warning. No grammar lessons.
Yep. Grammar content builds explicit knowledge, not fluency. Even if you understand it perfectly, it won't help you in a real conversation.
Because you're learning to analyze English, not to use it. And those are 2 totally different skills.
So instead of asking, "What's the best grammar video to watch?" try asking, What do I love that I could listen to in English?
Exactly. Make listening fun, natural, and part of your everyday life. And trust your brain, it's learning more than you think.
Up next, we're talking about a surprising second step to build fluency. Reading. Yeah, reading helps speaking. And we'll tell you why.
Wait, reading? Isn't that for writing or test prep?
That's what most people think. But here's the truth. Reading helps your speaking more than you'd expect.
Let me ask our listeners something. Do you struggle to understand conversations in English? If your answer is yes, then reading is your new best friend.
Here's how it works. When you read, especially stories or dialogues, you get exposed to spoken English.
That's right. For example, in a novel, characters have conversations. Those dialogues are full of slang, idioms, and real-world expressions.
Exactly the kind of vocabulary you'd hear in real life, not just in textbooks.
Plus, reading helps grow your vocabulary. You start noticing how words are used in context, not just on flashcards.
And guess what? When you combine reading with listening, like using audiobooks or watching a video with subtitles, you're learning both the pronunciation and spelling at the same time.
That's powerful. You're hitting two birds with one stone.
Now you might be wondering, okay, but what should I read?
Something that feels a little bit challenging, but not overwhelming. Think of it like a workout. You want to sweat, but not pass out.
Exactly. You could start with short stories, graded readers, English comic books, even blogs about things you enjoy, like food, travel, or tech.
The most important thing is this: read what you love. Emotion helps memory. If you enjoy it, you'll stick with it.
Up next, we'll talk about the third and final step, the one that brings everything together, actually speaking.
Let's go from passive learning to active fluency.
All right, we've listened, we've read, but let's be real. None of that matters if you don't actually speak.
Yep, listening and reading are input, but to get fluent, you also need output. In other words, you've got to open your mouth and start using English.
But here's the question most learners ask. What if I have no one to speak English with?
Totally fair. But here's the good news. You don't need a partner to practice speaking. There are lots of ways you can do it on your own. Let's break it down. Here are 6 simple speaking exercises you can do right at home.
1. Imitate native speakers, watch a video, pause, and repeat what they say, same tone and rhythm. 2. Memorize short speeches, a few lines from a movie, YouTube, or a TED talk. 3. Practice with QA lessons. These are guided lessons that help you speak actively. 4. Listen, summarize, hear a short clip, then try to say the key ideas in your own words. 5. Talk about random topics, describe your day, your favorite meal, your opinion on coffee versus tea. 6. Chat with people online. This one needs a partner, but the others? Totally solo-friendly.
And listen, you don't have to do all 6. That would be a full-time job. Yeah, just pick 2 or 3 that you enjoy. For me, I do imitation the most. It helps me sound more natural.
Now, let's talk about something real for a second. Excuses. We all make them. I did. You probably did too.
I don't have a speaking partner. I don't live in an English-speaking country. I can't afford classes. I don't want to talk to myself. It's weird. And you know what? Those excuses make sense. They're valid feelings.
But here's the thing. They don't have to stop you. I used to feel super awkward speaking alone. It felt silly at first.
Same. I'd talk to myself in the mirror and think, what am I doing? But the more I did it, the less weird it felt. And soon, it became a routine. My speaking improved so much because I didn't wait for the perfect situation. You don't need perfect. You just need progress.
Don't have a partner? Practice alone. Feels awkward? Do it anyway. Not sure if you're doing it right? Doesn't matter. If you're speaking, you're improving.
The moment you stop making excuses and start finding solutions, nothing can stop you. You've got this. Now go speak something right after this episode ends.
So go do one thing today. Watch a video and repeat after it. Read something out loud. Talk to yourself about your breakfast. It all counts.
We'll be right here, cheering you on.